Okay, Agadta everyone, and Agadta Chodesh. Wonderful to have everybody over here on this wonderful second day of Rosh Chodesh as we start a new week. And we are sponsored by A.B. Spry for Nachas from all of his family. We are sponsored especially tonight by Ed Sala from London. Lili Nishmas, his mother, whose yahrzeit was this Shabbos, Farcha Bas Aaron. Her neshama should have lichtige Gan Eden. She should be a Mlitzis Yosha for her family, for all of us, and all of Klal Yisrael. By Shalom Fogel, Lili Nishmas, Rabbi Yaakov Zeb and Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh, and Rivka Bas Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Rabbi God, and Rabbi Yosef ben Sion ben Rabbi Yaakov Zev. By Baruch Ian Lil Nishmas Yaakov Chaim ben Abba, Esther Bas Gittel, Ephraim ben Shmuel HaKayin, Yaakov Umansky, Akos HaTov, to the Rav and the Zoom family, and Nachas from children and grandchildren, and by our virtual Chaver, Joshua Rosenberg. We also want to learn for our Chaver Adaf, Shimon Klein, Shimon Yehuda ben Gittel, should have a refuah shalema b'sech shachar Yisrael. As people are just rolling in now, as we welcome in Richard Rosenzweig, who was here bright and early this evening. A.B. Spry, Irving Fishbaum, Saba, Michal Avram, who is taking off the night from his post in the Agudas Yisrael, watching from his home, and Aaron Swade and Menachem Umansky, Berish Gesserman, Nachman Chapler, Mark Frankel, Dr. Black, and Einikel, Mel Zachter, Stephen Holtzman, Ben Sion Cohn, Eddie Chazan, wherever he is in the wild blue yonder, and let me take a guess, he's in Wisconsin. You are in Wisconsin? No. Yisrael Fisher, Moshe Lehman, Ilya Shutman, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Yitzi Muller, David Helfgott on Kol Lashon, and we are what a magnificent first blot we have here tonight. Yes.
I just wanted, because my Zayd is on my mother's side, Jewish side tonight. Yaakov ben Reb Menachem.
Yaakov ben Reb Menachem, neshama should have an aliyah. Also today was my mother's sister's yahrzeit, who passed away very young. Rachel Bas Menachem, Ricky Miller, Rochelle Miller. I see also that Yitzi Fuchs is joining us through a different way this evening, and his Wi-Fi is down. Okay, Yitzi, it's good to have you in any way you can, and Michal has just joined us as well. Okay, so we're starting now as we go into double digits already. Bava Basra, we just started. We're already at Daf Yud. It's amazing what you do when you learn every night. And we're holding two lines from the bottom of Daf Tes Amud Beis. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Amar Kol Haraga L'Asais Tzedakah. Whoever frequently gives tzedakah. This is a very good habit, Rabbi say. This is a way to stock our Olam Haba. It's a way to protect us in this world and have a portfolio for the next world. So it's really something that a person should get into the habit. Kol haraga l'asei tzedakah, whoever frequently does tzedakah, zoicha will merit having like banim bali chachma, will have children with wisdom, bali aisha with wealth, bali agada with homiletic capabilities. Now, even if we're of the age that we can't have children anymore, but we could have grandchildren, and b'nei banim hariyim kebanim. So it's a promise to have children with wisdom, wealth, and homiletics. Bali chachma. What does it say? Roidei tzedakah v'chesed yimtza chayim. Chayim, of course, is chachma. By the way, chayim, which is b'gematria 68, is the same gematria as chacham. And we know that Torah is called Chaim, as Rashi says, Ki motzai matzah Chaim. When you find me, you find life. So he'll have children that are b'nei Torah, bali oisher, wealth, tichsiv tzedakah. They'll be able to give tzedakah, and bali agada. Now we know that a person that indulges in homiletics a person that indulges in homiletics, in Agadta, people give them honor, because the heart, divrei Agadta moishchen es halev. So they'll have children that are expert in Agadta, d'chsiv v'kavod. V'ksiv hacha, and it says over here, v'kavod, u'ksiv hasam kvoid chamchamim yinchalu. They will inherit the honor given to the wise. Tanya, as we welcome in Philippe, we welcome in Chaim Braun, we welcome in Shali Zeitman, Abe Arbach, as we are now 27 Zoomers strong, just getting underway over here, as Philippe is getting ready to go on Aliyah. Unbelievable, Philippe. We're going to miss your presence online, but I really hope that you'll stay connected to us from Eretz Yisrael, and make sure to do so.
It's been a true experience, Rabbi, and I certainly hope to. Thank you.
That's great. Tanya, Hayrameir Aimer Yesh Leila Baldin Lo Shivcha V'Leimelach. A opponent might ask you and contend with you, maybe the Yetzer Hara, maybe a bad person, and say, what are you taking care of the poor for? If God loved the poor, why doesn't he support them? Obviously, they're not finding favor in God's eyes, so why should you bail them out? So the Gemara tells us, Emallah, you should tell him, you know why the poor person is suffering? For our benefit, to save us from Gehenna. Kadeshi, Amallah, you should tell him, Kadeshi, that we should be saved from Gehenna. It's an amazing thing. You see a poor person, and you say, but for the grace of God, I could be poor, and I could be poor and saving the other person from Gehenna. The poor man is doing me a favor. You know, there's a famous saying, more than the ani gets from the balabayas gets from the ani. More than the ani gets from his benefactor, the benefactor gets from the poor. And this would be true just for the fact that it saves us from Gehenna. It does much more. Right? We know the Medrash in Shir Hashirim. The Medrash says in Shir Hashirim, it's quoted in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Tira doloi tiftach la'anya tiftach la'asya. A door that doesn't open for a poor person will have to open for the doctor. So while the world says an apple a day keeps the doctor away, an ani a day keeps the doctor away. And the Gemara tells us, V'zu she'ela shal tunis rufish arasha es Rabbi Akiva. And this question was posed by the wicked Tunis Rufus. Now Tunis Rufus got this title of the wicked Tunis Rufus because after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, he plowed up the area of the Beis Hamikdash. So he was a thoroughly wicked person. As we, take out a moment to welcome in Marshall Castle, joining us as our 30th Zoomer of the evening. 30 is a good number. You know what 30 is? Lamed. Lamed is the tallest letter in the Aleph base. It's the tallest letter because it's the king of the Aleph base. Why? Because a Lamed, if you look at the composition of the Lamed, it's a Chaf and a Vav on top of it. That's 26. That's Yud Kei Vav Kei. And also it stands for learning, which is Keneged Kulam. It's the king of what we could do. That's why what's on either side of Lamed? On one side is a Chaf and one side is a Mem. Chaf, Lamed, Mem. That spells Melech. Right? So the kingly thing to do is to learn Torah. And Marshall joins us. He could have been doing anything, and he chooses to join us instead of playing.
Doing anything.
Huh?
I was doing anything.
Right, that's what I imagine. But anyway, Shal Tunis Rufus Arasha es Rabbi Akiva. Tunis Rufus, the wicked, asked Rabbi Akiva, if God loves the poor, why doesn't he take care of them? Amalei, so Rabbi Akiva told Tunis Rufus, that we should be saved from Gehenna. You know, sometimes taking out money and giving to the poor person hurts. It's hard to make money. And you take it out of the wallet and you go, it's like an extraction. But if you view it as fire insurance, when it's viewed as fire, when it's viewed as fire insurance, then it's different. And the Gemara tells us as follows: Amalei, so he said, Adarabba, if you help somebody that God shows disfavor to, in other words, if God is making a person poor and impoverished, that means he's troubled by this person. He must be sinning. And if you help him anyway, Zusha Mechayvan Gehenim, then you should be Chayav Gehenim for doing that. Well, let me tell you what this is compared to. L'melech Basa V'dam, to a human king, Shekas al Avdai, he gets angry at his servant, V'chashru b'beis asum, he puts him in a hunger tower. V'tziva alav shaloi la'achilo v'shaloi la'ashkaisa, and he commands that you shouldn't give him to eat and you shouldn't give him to drink. V'alach adam echad, and a person goes and defies the king, v'achelu v'heshkiu, and he gives him to eat and gives him to drink. Kishishama HaMelech, when the king hears this, like kayis alav, want to be angry. V'atem kriyim avodim, and you're servants of Hashem, shenem kili b'nei Yisrael avodim. So Rabbi Kiva says, no, let me tell you what it's like. Amalei Rabbi Kiva says, I'll tell you what it's like. I'll tell you what it's like. Where a king gets angry at his son. He puts him in a hunger tower. And commands not to give him to eat, not to give him to drink. And a person goes and saves this king's son's life. When the king hears that his son didn't die, wouldn't he send this person a present for saving the life of his son? And we're called the sons of Hashem. You're children to Hashem Elokeichem. So that's why Hashem is pleased when we give tzedakah. So Tunis Rufus counters and says, Amalai, well, Atem Kriyim Bonim, V'Kriyim Avodim. You're called children and you're called slaves. When you do the will of Hashem, Atem Kriyim Bonim, then you're his children. But when you're not doing the will of Hashem, Atem Kriyim Avodim, and counters to his Rufus, now that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, now you're not doing the will of Hashem. So now to help a poor person is a bad thing. Amalai, so Rabbi Kiva told them, you should give to the hungry your bread, and even to rebellious poor people, bring into your house. Now, we darshan that aniyim merudim tavi bayis means aniyim merudim refers to the Roman government, that they always claiming that they're poor and they tax us. So when are we under the power of aniyim merudim, of these governmental taxation? Ha'inna, and yet yet we should still extend ourselves to the poor. Now the reason is because we're considered banim even when we're not good. Like we're referred to as banim sarvanim, children that refuse, but we're still the children of the Eibishter. And when we're the children of the Eibishter, why are we called avodim? Adarabba, we're called avodim because we serve Hashem. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Just getting on the way over here on a beautiful Motzei Shabbos already. 31 people strong. It should be 3,100. Marshall should be getting cases of bourbon, fed into him intravenous. Something is not good over here.
I gotta get my IV port put in.
Yeah, you gotta get your act together. What?
start bootlegging.
Right. Darish Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Shalom, Kishem Shem is Zainoisav Shel Adam Ksuvan Loy Rosh Hashanah. Just like a person's livelihood is fixed on Rosh Hashanah, Kaches Reinoisav Shel Adam Ksuvan Loy Rosh Hashanah. So also what a person is going to lose is fixed on Rosh Hashanah, which means Zacha, if he merits Haloi Prasler of Lachmecha, the money in the debit column will be given to the poor. Loi Zacha, then Vaniyah Merudim Tavi Bayis, then he'll lose it to taxation. Kihad de Bnei Achsei de Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, nephews, the sons of the sister of Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, Chazulu Bechilma, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai saw in a dream, the Bo Lemechser Shva Meya Dinrei. He saw that they were going to lose 700 denarii. So Asinu Shakel Minayel Itztaka. Little by little, he took money from them for charity, and he took from them 683 denarii. Pas Gabayu Shivtzer denarii. They didn't give 17. Kimot Amala Yom Kippur, when the end of the next year at Erev Yom Kippur arrived, Shadar de Bekesa, the tax collector came and Naktinu and took from them 17 denarii. So Amal Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai told them, Loi titchelon, don't worry, don't think that they're going to harass you. Shivtzer dinrei gabaychu shaklinu minachu. You were supposed to be in the debit column another 17, so they took 17. That's it. Imre Elei, so his nephew said to him, Mino Yodis, how did you know? Amalu chelma chazoylechu. I saw that you had to lose 700. So Amalei, so they said to him, V'may lo yamrit London isvinu. Why didn't you tell us? We would have given you the 700 right away. Amalu, so he said, I wanted you to give it l'shma. Aminu keich detav the mitzvah l'shma. I didn't want you to give it because you were going to lose it anyway, and that's why I didn't tell you about the dream. Now we know that even when we don't have a Sanhedrin, chas v'shalom, if a person does a crime that's deserving of execution, he could die from a similar death than what would be the execution. So Rapapa v'salik b'darga, Rapapa was walking up a ladder. Ishtamet kare, his foot slipped, and boil a maple, and he almost fell. He almost fell from a big height. Amar, he said, and it troubled him, Hash the Cain, if I would have fell, Ichayev man de Sanilon, it would be that I was Chayev, because when skila, they push a person off a cliff, a high place. So he said, if I would have fell, it would have meant that I was Chayev, Kimechalei Shabbos, like one who desecrated the Shabbos, who kaved the Avodas Kechavim, like idolatry, which is punishable with skila. That troubled him. Amalei Chia Barav Medifti the Rapapa. So Chia Barav Medifti said to Rapapa, well, maybe you were guilty of another thing. Shema Ani Bali Yodcha, maybe a poor man came to your hand, V'loi Parnasasai, and you didn't take care of him. The Tanya Rabbi Shimon Karcha Aimer Kol Amalim Einav Minat Staka, whoever makes it as if he doesn't see a poor person. Happens sometimes a person is in shul and makes believe he saw a orangutan in davening, that he doesn't see the person. That's something that we should never do. Don't make it that you don't see the poor person, because it's as if you committed adultery, because it says about not giving tzedakah, be careful, lest there be any cruelty in your heart. So it uses by not giving tzedakah the lashon of blial. Worthless people went out and worshipped idolatry. So just like over there it says Avodas Kechavim, Afkan Avodas Kechavim. So also making as if you didn't see a poor person is like worshipping idolatry. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yaisi called tzedakah v'chesed she Yisrael oisim ba'olam hazeh. All charity and kindness that Klal Yisrael does in this world, Shalom Gadol, it creates great priests, or Praklitin Gedolim, and great protectors, Bein Yisrael Avian Shebishmaim, between Klal Yisrael and their Father in heaven. Shenemar, Ko Amar Hashem. So says Hashem. This is a pasuk in I believe in Yirmiyah. Yeah, it's a pasuk in Yirmiyah. Kayam Hashem al tovoi beis marzeach. Don't come into the house of Avelus. Va'al telech lispay. Don't go to mourn. Va'al tonod lahem. And don't lament over them. Ki asafti es shloimi. I gathered in my peace. Me'esa omazeh. From this nation. Es ha'chesed ve'es ha'rachman. The kindness and the mercy. So we see that if there is kindness and mercy, then there is great peace. Chesed zu gemilas chasadim. Chesed is acts of kindness, and rachamim zu tzedakah. And when there is chesed and rachamim, then Hashem shows shalom. Tanya Rabbi Yehuda Aimer G'dol tzedakah shemekareves es agula. Great is charity, for it brings ushers in the redemption. Shenemar koyam Hashem shimru mitzvot. Keep justice, v'asu tzedakah. The Ben Ish Chai says that it prefaces tzedakah with mishpat because we want to give only clean money. Shimru mishpat v'asu tzedakah, because ki kroiva yeshuasi lavai, then my salvation will be close to coming, v'tzitkasi ligalis, and my righteousness to be revealed. Hu hayomer, he would say, asara dvarim koshim nivru ba'olam. 10 mighty things were created in the world. Har kasha, a mountain is strong, but barzel mechatchai, iron cuts it. You could cut a highway into the mountains. Barzel kasha, iron is strong, but or mefafai, but fire melts it. Or kasha, fire is hard, but mayim mechabenai, say water extinguishes it. Mayim kashim, but ovim seivenaisan, clouds bear the water. Oven kashim, clouds are strong, but ruach mefazarton, but the wind dissipates it, scatters it. Ruach kasha, the wind is strong, but guf saivlei, the body could withstand it. Guf kasha, but pachat shaivlei, fear breaks the constitution of man. Pachat kasha, fear is strong, but yayin mafigai, wine douses fear. Yayin kasha, wine is strong, but shina mefakachta, sleep takes away the effect of wine. Or misa kasha mikulam, sleep is only a 60 of death, and misa is stronger than sleep. Or tzedakah tatzelas min misa, but charity saves from death. The chsiv, as it says, tzedakah tatzel min. This is very exciting. That charity saves from death. It is a real, insurance only makes up, when there's a problem. It doesn't prevent the problem, but charity prevents the problem. What a big daf. As Irving will tell you, if you count the letters on the words on the daf, and you remember that the Gaon says it's a separate mitzvah saseh for every word, so imagine how much we're reaping in. This is a night of a bonanza. I mean, Marshall says, "Haki shmaki." This is living the good life. Now, I know why some people are hiding behind their names over here. Put on your screens. Come on, Rabbi. Says the Gemara, I have to tell you, Shelley, you're a lot more handsome than that picture you show us. There you go. Look at Bruce Eisenberg. Look at that man. It's an amazing thing. Anyway, says the Gemara, Dorish Reb Destoiber Reb Yanei Ba'u Re'ei Shaloi K'midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Midas Basav Adam. Come and see that the ways of Hashem are not like the ways of flesh and blood. Midas Basav Adam, other maybe Dorin Gadol Lamelech, if he brings a big present to the king, Suffolk Mekabel Seimen, Suffolk Ein Mekabel Seimen. Sometimes the king will accept it, sometimes the king won't. I only accept things, you have to be of a stature that he should accept it. And if he accepts it, he's not sure that he'll get an audience with the king. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu ain't a king. Adam Noisim Pruta La'ani, he gives even one small coin to a poor person. Zoicho Mekabel Pnei Shchina, he merits to be Mekabel Pnei Shchina. Shenema, as it says, Ani b'tzedek echez epanecha. I, with charity, I get to behold your face. Ezba b'hokitz t'munasecha, I will awake and be satisfied with your likeness. Rabbi Elazar Yav Pruta La'ani, Rabbi Elazar would first give a coin to an ani, v'hadar matzli, and only then pray, because he would say, Dichsiv, Amar Dichsiv, ani b'tzedek, I, when I give charity, echez epanecha, then I will behold your face. There's a beautiful story that in the biography of the Manchester Rosh Hashiva, Rav Zev Segel, Zechatzab Kosh Bracha, Schus Yagan Aleinu, that he used to bring in the morning neguvasa to his daughter's bed. So she said, Tati, I could do this. So he said, when your mother was alive, I used to serve a coffee to her in the morning before I left the shul. That was ani b'tzedek echez epanecha. So of course, he probably put in money in the pushka too, but he actually did something, to do something nice for a wife before going to daven, say a beautiful good morning to her. That's ani b'tzedek echez epanecha. My ezba'a b'hokitz t'munasecha. When I awake, I will be satisfied with your likeness. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak, elu talmidei chacham. This is an interesting drasha. Here's a guy who says, what Rabbi Moshe Meir Weiss is saying shir at 10:45? Who is crazy enough to start a shir at 10:45? That's insane. He's not going to finish till after midnight. Look at the size of the staff. So says the pasuk, "Elu talmidei chacham shemenadidin shina me'einem ba'olam hazeh." They chase sleep from their eyes in this world. VaHaKadosh Baruch Hu mazbion miziv hashchina lo'olam haba, and Hashem satiates them with the glory of the Shechina in the next world. That's what it says. Ez ba'a b'hakitz, we will be satisfied when we awaken in the next world, Tmunascha, with the likeness of Hashem. I always say it says in the Gemara, as Mark is benefiting us with his appearance after hiding behind the curtain. Some people feel they have to hide behind the curtain. There he goes. Marshall pulled the curtain. The Gemara says, Tzadikim Yoshvin v'atreiseyim b'rosheyim v'nenim miziv hashchina. It says, what will the tzaddikim do? They'll sit in a circle and they'll enjoy the radiance of the Shechina. So I remember this. It's such an American story. One of my Talmidim says, "What are we going to do in the next world?" I said, "We're going to sit around and enjoy the presence of the Shechina, the glory of the Shechina." So he said, "How long?" He said, I told him, "Forever." He says, "I'm going to sit in front of Hashem forever." You know what? I want to check out what Gehenna looks like. I can't stay in the class for an hour. I'm going to sit with Rabbeinu Shalom forever. Now I got to check out Gehenna. So, I always told people that there are places that advertise now that you could have 500 channels. And so, what could a person conceivably do with 500 channels? 500 channels? When we were kids, there was channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and channel 13. Right? That's what I remember. Right? Now there's 500 channels. So, but I think that's the answer. When you sit in front of Hashem, Hashem is ein cheker lisfunasai. There's no end to his understanding. Hashem is a billions channels. The glory of sitting with the Rebbeinu Shalom is having access to 1 billion channels. That's the way we have to understand it. This, I think, is joining us is Shimon Deer. Oh, Shimon Deer, it's good to have you, Shimon. You don't want to miss some of this gewaldige Gemara over here, talking about 500 channels with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So it says the Gemara, as we're holding towards the bottom of Daf Yud Amud Aleph. This is an amazing thing. Malva Hashem chaynein dal. You're giving a loan to Hashem when you're gracious to the poor. Now we know that if I give somebody a $100,000 loan, he's very indebted to me. He owes me one. He owes me a big one. It says that when you're gracious to the poor, it's like you're giving a loan to the Rebbeinu Shalom. That means that the Rebbeinu Shalom is indebted to you. If the pasuk didn't say this, it wouldn't have been possible to say. It says that the debtor is like a servant to the creditor. He's really indebted. It's as if the Rebbeinu Shalom becomes indebted to us. Wealth will not help a person in the day of wrath, but it's charity will save from death. The safety deposit boxes, the treasures of a wicked person will not help him, but it's stuck at tatzim. So it says twice, charity will save from death. Why does it say it twice? Shtei tzedakah halalu lama. One that it saves him from an unusual death, from a car accident, from a crash, from a rare disease. It saves him from the punishment of Gehenna. Now, ve'ezu he shemetzilta medina shel Gehenna, which pasuk is talking about the salvation from Gehenna, says, the pasuk of lo yol hain b'yom Efra, because Efra refers to Gehenna. A day of wrath is the day of Gehenna. And what saves a person from an unusual death, a death not of natural causes? So here the Gemara says it's tzedakah with we don't know the person we're giving it to, and the person that we give it to doesn't know who he's getting it from. Noisna ve'eni yoidei elami noisna. You give it, and you don't know who you're giving it to. Naitla, he takes it ve'eni yoidei elami naitla, and he doesn't know who he's taking it from. Noisna ve'eni yoidei elami noisna. La'afuke, that excludes giving it and not knowing who you're giving it to. La'afuke mid mar ukfa. That excludes the method of Mar Ukva. Mar Ukva would go and put inside the door of a person's house 4 zuz. So although the person doesn't know who he's getting it from, but Mar Ukva knew who he gave it to. Noitla ve'eni yodei mimi noitla, la'afuke mid Rab Abba. That excludes the method of Rab Abba. Rab Abba would walk and he would have behind him a sudar, a turban, with money in it. And whoever needed it would take the money. But they knew they were getting it from Rab Abba. What should you do? Says the Gemara, you should give it to the charity collector. That way, you don't know who you're giving it to, and the person that gets it doesn't know who it's coming from. Says the Gemara, could you trust the charity box? Meisvei, ma yasa adam v'yolobanim zacharim. What should a person do to have male children? Rabbi Lazar says, Yefazer ma'osav laniyim. He should scatter his money to the poor. There's a fantastic marsha over here. Marsha says, why is tzedakah linked to having male children? Because a male, it says, this is very common in today's, today they use this a lot, that the man is the mashpia, and the woman is the makabel. And so a male is a mashpia, he's the influencer. He's the one that gives. And therefore, if you give to the poor, you'll be zeicher to have male children who are mashpiyim. Rabbi Yeshua says, Yisamach ishtay ledvar mitzvah. You should rejoice your wife when you have intimacy. Because it says, if the isha is mazras tchila, if the woman secretes first, so then she'll have boys. So therefore, if you're mesameach her, she'll secrete first and have the boy. You shouldn't put a coin in the charity box unless there's somebody trustworthy. So you see otherwise that the charity box is not the preferred method. Says the Gemara, no, we're talking about where there is a reliable person doing it. Rabbi Yavo said, Moshe Rabbeinu said before Hashem, Rebbeinu Shalom, Bamot Torim Keren Yisrael, with what will be the horn of Klal Yisrael uplifted? When will they be raised above the Goyim? Amaloi b'chisisa, when you take from them charity, right? The kisisa is the parasha of Machzah Sheker. Rabbi Yavo shalu Shlomo ben David. They asked Shlomo HaMelech, the son of David HaMelech, Ad heichon koicha shel tzedakah, how far-reaching is the power of tzedakah? Amar lahen, so he said to them, Tzura uma pirish David Abba, see what my father said, Pizer nasan le'evyonim, scatter your money, give it to the poor, tzidkasa yomedes lad, your righteousness lasts forever. Karnoi Torah Bekovet, your horn will be uplifted in honor. So you see that tzedakah lasts forever. It's an investment forever. L'neitzach nitzachim. That's pshat zoreya tzedakahs. Rabbi Ava Mehacha, who miraymim yishkan, he will dwell up high. Mitzudas sloim misgabay. Outcroppings, clefts of rock will be not clefts. Outcroppings. Projections of rock will be his stronghold. Why? Lachmai Nasan, he gave his bread. Meimav Nemanim, his water is trustworthy. Matam Maraymim Yishkam, why will he dwell up high? Mitzuda Slum Misgaba, he will have fortified rocky protection. Mishum Dalachmai Nasan, because he gives of his bread. O Meimav Nemanim, and his water is trustworthy. We have 32 zumas. That's Gematria Lev. That's very nice. Shalu Shloimei, Ezel ben Olam Haba, who is a member of the afterlife. Amar lahem kol shekeneged zikonav kavod. If corresponding to his years of acquiring wisdom, zaken is zekon chachma, he has honor. In other words, a person honors him for the wisdom that he has amassed. That's Ben Olam Haba. Yad Yosef Breid Rabbi Yeshua Chalish. Yosef, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, went into a trance. He got weak, ingadi, and he fell into a coma. And during the coma, he was like moving around. So when he came out of the trance, Amalei Avu, his father, said to him, "My chazes, what did you see when you were in the trance?" Amalei Olam Hafach Ra'isi. I saw a topsy-turvy world. Elyonim Lamata, those that are high over here are below over there. V'tachtainim, and those that are below over here, Lamala, are high over there. Now Rashi learns simply that the rich miser that was high over here will be low over there. And the honest pauper that was low over here will be rich over there. Ramosha says we don't need somebody to come from a trance to teach you that. So Ramosha says a famous pshat. He says that the big Rosh Hashiva that's very big over here might be lower over there, and the simple tailor who might be low over here will be big over there. And Ramosha explains that it's not where you're holding in life, it's how many rungs you climbed. So the simple tailor who knew nothing and started on rung 1 and climbed to rung 4, so he climbed 3 rungs. The great Rosh Hashiva was born into greatness, and he started at rung 30, and he got to rung 32. He actually climbed less rungs than the tailor, and therefore the tailor is really ahead of him, because a person is judged by Maaseh Ish Ufekudasai, by his actions and his station in life. So then he asked, because this is we were talking about the Kabbalah to Chachamim. Then he asked him, Amalei. So first he said, Amalei Olam Bara Ra'isa. You saw a very clear picture. Va'anan heichi chazasinan. We the rabbis, how do we appear in the next world? Amalei ki heicha de chashvinan hacha. Just like we're important in this world. Chashvinan hasam. We're important over there. V'shamati shahayu aimrim. And I heard that they said, Ashrei Misha Balakan, fortunate is the person that comes to this world with Talmudai biyadai, with his Talmud in his hand. So here a person is going to get to the next world. If you could say that I tuned in to zoomdaf.com every night. Whoa, that's going to be a VIP status. It's going to be VIP status. Eddie's going to say, you mean I don't have to travel anymore? I don't have to travel anymore? You're going to give me a place where I don't have to travel? He's not going to be used to it. He's going to have this palace in Olam Haba, and he's not even going to own a car. It's unbelievable. Says the Gemara, and we also heard that Vishamati Shaya Oimrim Haruge Malchus, those that were killed by the government, Ein Kol Beria Yechayla Lamed B'Mechina Sasam. No creature is going to be able to be near them. Their level is going to be so high. So the question is, Maninu. Rabbi Akiva v'chaver. If it's talking about the Asarei Haruge Malchus, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, so it's not. They don't need it because they were killed. They're because they were the greatest people in the generation. Mishum Haruge Malchus v'Sulai. Is it only because they were executed by the government? Pshita b'lav achinami. They were towering in Torah and Yerushalayim. It's talking about Haruge Lud. This was a terrible, terrible incident. The Roman emperor's daughter was found dead, and he blamed the Jews, and he was going to kill all the Jews. So 2 brothers, Pappus and Linus, and it was only able to have been done by 2 people. So Pappus and Linus falsely admitted to the crime in order to save the Jewish people, and they were executed. And it says that for their saving of Klal Yisrael, no person will be able to get near them. Tanya, Amalem Rabbi Yochanan Zakeh leTalmidav, and Rabbi say, chaperayim with this, because this is one of the more famous Gemaras in Shas, and we should absorb what we're learning. We should absorb about tzedakah and about how rewarding it is and how important it is. It saves us from Gehenna. It saves us from Misa Mishona. It promises us everything beautiful in the next world. It promises us to see the vision of Hashem and enjoy the Shekhinah. I mean, this is amazing stuff. Tanya, Amalem Rabbi Yochanan Zakeh leTalmidav, Banai, my children. He called his Talmidim my children. That's, by the way, that's how I feel with everybody. I feel with everybody that this is my family. Ma'u she'amar hakasav tzedakah tereimem goy. Tzedakah will elevate the nation. The chesed and kindness is l'umim chatas, is for the nations a sin. What does this mean? Nene Rebbe Lazar, so the great Rebbe Lazar says, tzedakah traimim goy, tzedakah elevates a nation. That goy means over here Klal Yisrael. Eli Yisrael, the siv, or mikam Yisrael, goy echad barit. So goy refers to Klal Yisrael. The chesed l'umim chatas, but kindness is considered for the nation's sin. Now why should that be? Called stock of a chesed shumas ha'oivdei kechavim oisin cheitu lehem. It's a sin for them. Why? Because they don't do it sincerely. They only do it to aggrandize themselves. Like it says in the pasuk, this money should be that you should offer sweet-smelling sacrifices to your God, and pray for the life of the king and his princes and his sons. So you see, they only do it for themselves. Says the Gemara, so what? If you do that, it's not complete tzedakah. This coin is for tzedakah that my child should live. I should benefit the next world. He's a completely righteous person. So what? Says Gemara, yeah, but a yid, when he gives the tzedakah, even if the outcome doesn't come, he doesn't regret it. Like kasha can be yisrael, can be kechavim. A guy regrets it if the outcome doesn't come. Nana Rabbi Yeshua gave a different shot in the pasuk. Tzedakah treimim, guy, charity elevates a nation, El Yisrael, like Rabbi Lazar said, Mikam Yisrael, guy echad baritz. The chesed l'umim chatas, and kindness is for the nations a sin. That's called stock of a chesed she'umas oived kechavim oisen. Charity and kindness that the nations do, cheitu lahem. It's considered a sin for them. Why? She'ein oisen ala kedei shetimashech malchusin. It's not sincere. They only do it to extend their empire. Behold, king, milky, my advice should be good to you. Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar, and your sin you should redeem with charity. The avischa and your vivisicha and your iniquity b'mechananian, with being good to the poor, deign to have a aricha l'shalvasech. This will be a length of your solitude. So you see that they only do it for extending their monarchy and not for sincere reasons. Nana Reb Gamliel also chimed in with his pshat. Tzedakah treimim goy, charity will elevate the nation El Yisrael. Like we said, the chesed l'umim chatas, and kindness for the nations is sin. Called stock of a chesed she'akum oisim. Any kindness and charity that the guy does, cheitu lehen, because they only do it to be arrogant. She'ein oisin al lisyar, but to be aggrandize themselves. Like it says, v'kol hamisyar, whoever is arrogant, neifel beganim, falls into ganim. Shenemar zayd yahir, the willful, arrogant person, late shmai, he's a scoffer, oisa be'evras zodain. He does it in his willful rage. Now, since it says Evra connected with Yair, with arrogance, refers to Gehanim, because we said, Ma'ain Evra ele Gehanim, Shenema Yoim Evra, Yoim Ha'u. Amar Rav Gamliel says we still need another pshat in this pasuk. Amar Rav Gamliel, Adayin anu tzricha l'moidai. We still need the interpretation of the moidai. Rabbi Lazar HaMoidai, Yoimer tzedakah t'roimim gai, v'chesed l'umim chatas. So tzedakah treimim goy El Yisrael. Dechsev mikam Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. The chesed l'umim chatas, called stock of a chesed she'akim oisim. Any charity and kindness that the guy does, cheitu lahem, it's considered as a sin. She'ein oisin el lecharei faisanabai. They only do it to blaspheme us, to make us look bad. Shenema v'yavoy v'yas Hashem kasher diber, and it came, and Hashem did to Klal Yisrael like He spoke. Ki chatosim laHashem, you sinned to Hashem, v'lo yishmatem b'koilo, you didn't listen to His voice, and therefore v'hoya lochem hadavar hazeh. So they do it to show that they're kind and we're not, and then the Rebbeinu Shalom will give us punishment. Nene Reb Nechunya ben Akama v'amar, yet another pshat. Straka Troimim Goy, charity elevates the nation. He breaks up the pasuk. Pasuk says Stokim Troimim Goy v'chesed. So tzedakah Troimim Goy, charity elevates Klal Yisrael v'chesed, and their kindness. While le'umim chatas, the nations only have sin. So he puts the comma after the word chesed. That's Yisrael. And the nations, they're left with sin. I like this last pshat. It's favorable, the words of Reb Nechunya ben Akana, midvarai u'midivreichem, from my pshat and from your pshats. Lefi shunas and tzedakah v'chesed Yisrael, he gives the tzedakah and the kindness to Klal Yisrael, while the goyim only get chatas. Ulakim chatas. Now, since he says I like his pshat more than yours and mine, that means Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai also said a pshat. What's Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's pshat? Mechal dehu nami amar. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai also had a pshat in the pasuk. Mahi, what is it? The Tanya. Amalan Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, kishem shechatas mechaperes al Yisrael, just like a sin offering atones for Klal Yisrael, kach tzedakah mechaperes al umas ha'olam. And therefore he says that that's the meaning of chesed l'umim chatas, that kindness is for the nations like a sin offering by Klal Yisrael. And indeed, kindness will atone for the nations, and it will be as if it was a chatas. I'm just going to pause a minute over here, Rabbi say.